intro and then we go. So now you're going to have to.
Intros are overrated.
No, they're not.
And we have Dr. Kinga here. She's a social psychologist, and she's joining us on Never Broke Again. And hopefully she can help us make our brains work a little better, give us some tips and tricks so that people can be wealthy and succeed. So Thanks for hopping on, Dr. Kinga. And are there tricks? Can people trick their minds to becoming wealthy?
That's a great question. You know what? I think that there are tricks in order to get rid of the obstacles that are stopping you from becoming, I guess, successful and then wealthy in a specific way. Yeah. I think that quite often, we stop ourselves because we believe that we need to be someone who we are not. Mm-hmm. And also we get distracted. I think, honestly, let's start with that. Distraction. I think that distraction is actually the number one, obstacle in making people become wealthy, because we start chasing things that we actually don't need. We start chasing things that we, don't want even, but we do it because the people around us or the media around us is portraying it as, something that a wealthy person has, right? Or something that you need in order to become wealthy. So I do think, quite often, specifically here in the US, like buying things. Wow. When I go into people's homes sometimes, I'm like, why do you have so much stuff? Like, and then people will complain, like, I'm not achieving my financial goals. I'm not able to, actually go on that holiday or do the things that I want to do. But then I look around and I'm like, hey, like, start selling, just put it all on eBay and then you will get back to it. So, so with obstacles and, like a hindrance, it's really like understanding where are you going? And what is it that you need in order to get there?
So, and growing up in South Africa, is there challenges there? I don't know. I don't really know anyone from South Africa.
Let me take you back.
So I get you where you are now in Lexington, Kentucky. Is that the Bourbon Trail? It's on the Bourbon Trail.
It is the Bourbon Trail. Yeah. So look, I was actually born in Poland and grew up in Germany, and then just started traveling and living abroad very quickly. So the challenge, if it comes to a challenge, I will just take you back a little bit, maybe in my personal story. We came to Germany as refugee and immigrants in 1989. So I'm right now in the present moment, but in 1989, and my parents had nothing, like they really had nothing. So all the scenarios that we are currently seeing on news, we are very familiar with them. But that did not stop my parents from kind of really creating the life that they wanted. They had a very specific vision. And with that, they were very frugal in how they were dealing with their money. And that's not necessarily something that people want to hear right away. But if you come to a new country and the only thing that you have is $100 and you don't know exactly how the future is going to look like, frugality can actually be a tool that can help you to achieve your goals. But with that, what I learned is my mom gave me very specific skills on how to allocate money, how to set goals and how to ensure that you're saving for your goals in order to achieve these goals. And that means sometimes you cannot have everything, right? What the Rolling Stones said, you can't always get what you want, but you will get what you need. And I think that that's one of the slogans that we have to remember. Not everything that in that moment we perceive as being necessary or we wanted right now, that moment, is actually something that we really need and that will help us and allow us to get where we want to go. So, when I was 24, then I lived already in the US for a while and then came back to Germany, finished my degree, then went on an exchange year to South Africa. And I was blown away, absolutely blown away. I love that country so much. And came back, finished my master's degree and sold everything that I had, packed up 2 suitcases and moved to South Africa without a plan, without nothing. I mean, I had some savings. I knew, this is going to help me to, survive for like 18 months. That was my calculation. I'm like, you can have an apartment that's like $300. You can spend that much money on food. And understanding your goals and understanding how to manage money will allow you to become wealthy, because it allows you to set the priorities that you need to set, if that makes sense. And just to give you a roundup on that, when I moved to South Africa completely, I received a job at the Nelson Mandela University within 6 weeks. I didn't apply, I went to the university, I had a conversation with the professor and I said, hey, I'm back, I kind of love this country. I want to try it out. And 6 weeks later, he called me. He's like, we actually have a position. Do you want to have it? So, so a lot of the mental barriers that we carry, the fear that we have in order to step out of our comfort zone, in order to try out something that might bring us closer to who we want to be and where we want to, for example, also live, what it takes is really the ability to understand that you will make it no matter what. And that's, I think, honestly, that's a gift that I was given already as a child, seeing my parents also struggle and, seeing them going through everything. Yes, they struggled, but at the end of the day, they created the life that they wanted, right? They also showed me that there's no obstacle that we are unable to overcome.
So how do you eliminate fear?
I'm
not Andrew. I want to rope Andrew into this. Yeah, Andrew, how do you eliminate fear?
Oh man, I don't know if I fear anything, to be honest with you. Jim Quick says I think it's automatic negative thoughts. They calls them ants. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And I do my best. I used to get sucked into fear, but I kick it to the side. And lately I have been, in my mind, I have been using gratitude in my mind. And I actually call it micro gratitude, because I used to be so focused on just big rocks or big ticket items, like the American way, right? I think we were talking about that before. But now I'm like, all right, and people always be, oh yeah, I'm grateful for this. I would be like, that's lame, that's boring. But now I'm like, all right, I'm focusing on my own sanity a little bit. So I call it micro gratitude, and I'd be like, all right, I'm grateful for these smaller things, and it gets me through that moment, through that short period, before I actually jump into my routines that are kind of automatic. So how do I manage fear? I don't know if I have a whole lot of fear, to be honest with you.
Let me ask you that. Would you jump out of the plane?
I have. Yeah, I have done it. Would I? Yeah. So where is fear? If I was going to die, I would think that's probably, I'm going to have some fear there. Like if I'm literally going to die, but I may try to sidestep that, I may want to, unless I can.
Dr. Kinga, what is fear?
Look, so there is a psychological component, a biological component, and a social component to fear, right? The biological component is when our fear of flight system kicks in, right? There's just something happening and your body, your amygdala kicks in and just wants to protect you, right? There might be a lion behind the bush, there might be a snake or whatever it is.
Is that like the caveman brain or the monkey brain? Andrew likes to say?
That is the 2 pieces, that look like an almond in the back, that kind of like.
I think it's the croc. It's the croc brain, right? The croc.
Yeah, I thought it's the lizard. I call it the
lizard brain, croc. Yeah, okay, one of them.
Yeah. But basically, what it does, it's that part of the brain is scanning the environment for potential danger, right? The way we are designed is in order to survive. So our brain will do anything in order to make sure that we will design. So we have to scan the environment for potential danger. Now, there's not that much danger right now anymore, at least not for us. In other countries, it looks just a bit different. But that just happens automatically. There can be something, it could be lack of light, and you're afraid walking down the stairs in the darkness because you had whatever experience. But then you have the psychological component. So the stories that you were told, about when are you supposed to be afraid, right? Don't go into strangers' cars. Don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to strangers is actually a big one, I think, that I have to deal with quite often with my clients when I tell them, hey, I would like you to meet at least 3 new people every week. And they're like, but don't talk to strangers.
Every week. It needs to be, that needs to be like 2 a day. Not
but you have to always start somewhere, Andrew. You have to start somewhere and build yourself up. So, and then we have the social component, right? The social component, unfortunately, sometimes is a weird one. So it can be racism. Racism is a fear, honestly. It's like the fear of the other, the fear of the unknown, the fear of something that is not similar to you. So we have different components as to fear. So when you are afraid of something, the first thing that you need to ask yourself is to figure out what kind of fear, are you being now driven by the culture component? Are you being driven by your own internal story, meaning the way you have grown up? And then you have actually 3 other levels to fear, just to make it a little bit more complicated. But you have the immediate fear, right? That that an accident might happen, that when you walk, through the street, that a car will hit you or something like that. So we call that possible fears, because yes, indeed, there are people are being hit by a car. You could fall down the stairs. All of that is possible. And the second level of fear is the fear that you as a person, you're not going to be recognized. So I'm afraid to speak in front of these people because I'm afraid that they're not going to like my talk. I'm afraid to do this because this might not turn out well. Or I'm afraid to go on the radio because I will stumble across my own words, something like that, right? So there are still possible things could happen, but they are more so attached to kind of like how you feel about yourself. And like when Andrew says like he doesn't have any fears, so are you afraid of making mistakes? Because that is, like so many people are just afraid of making mistakes.
No, I don't have a fear of making mistakes. I have a fear of making mistakes and not learning from them, though. I don't like that because if I can learn from it, then I cannot make it again. So I think age solves a lot of problems, right? So I'm like 41. So the recognition one, you learn over the years. It doesn't matter what other people think. There's this saying that, in your 30s, you care what everyone thinks. In your 40s, you only care what you think. In the 50s, you don't care what anybody thinks, stuff like that. So I'm doing my best to kind of take that like senior year approach in high school. Like, I don't really care what anybody thinks of me. I'm just going to be me. But so the recognition one, I definitely used to have that in like college. I wouldn't want to get in front of a classroom and speak. But now I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to get known here. It doesn't matter if they don't like me. I'm going to get I'm going to get known. Yeah. So I would want that now. But making mistakes, kind of circling back, the fear for me would be am I learning from those mistakes? Because that's insanity, right? If you do the same thing over and over again, and that is something I'm doing my best to step back and then see where that mistake is and then emotions drive actions a lot. So just because I make the mistake, I may make it again because I'm emotionally connected to that mistake. So, Josh is good at that. He has no emotions. he's good at not making mistakes.
If I may say, like seeing Josh right now, I think that he's just pretty leveled out in his emotional stages.
It's all manufactured.
I would have to have a longer conversation with him, but
I just learned it just takes too much energy to like yell or scream and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
it does and it doesn't. If you have passion though for it, then it's okay.
You have passion,
right?
but you don't have to yell.
you don't have to yell, but that yelling is a signal of leadership too. Don't discount it. Right. So if somebody's the most vocal, that means they're really passionate. Other people can hear. Like if I'm coaching a baseball team and I'm whispering, you think these kids are going to listen to me? They're not going to hear anything I say. But if I speak up, they're all eyes on me. So
I don't know. What's Dr. Kinga have to say about that?
I'm speaking from experience here.
No, I mean, let me just circle back. We will go into the emotions in a second, but I do want to circle back, because Andrew, you kind of like pointed out, right, already the two fears, the regular fear of, just kind of like doing something, and then the fear that comes up with our thoughts, right? And then there's the third fear, and that fear is really dominating right now the spaces, and it's the fear of generally just like being and doing something. It's completely irrational. It has no logic, but people call it often anxiety. People will even say I'm depressed right now. Not that I have depression, but I feel depressed. And it is the inability to then continue moving forward or doing something because you're paralyzed by this overwhelming feeling of anything that you're doing could go wrong. And that last part is so important because, and I think that confidence is really what it takes in order to resolve it. Because with confidence, what you're doing is, and Andrew, and I think that you're doing that right now, you just demonstrated it so interestingly, is with confidence, you're building your belief that you can handle no matter what comes your way. Right. And that really solves actually fear. So generally, I would say everyone has fear. Like fear is part of our daily life. But the question is, how are you dealing with it? And are you seeing it as an obstacle, or are you understanding it? Oh, I'm feeling afraid. I have reached now the boundary between where I feel comfortable and where I can grow. Right. Feeling fear generally is an indication of I am at a point where I can start growing again. I can start learning. And yes, I have to fail for that because it means that I will learn. Like if you don't fall, you will not learn how to stand up, right? It's kind of like that parallel to it. And with that kind of like also understanding, and we can take that now into emotions, if you want to. And it's really interesting because like Andrew you just said you have to sometimes, like voice, be a little bit louder. You have to yell maybe at the kids. You have to be passionate. You have to bring it out. And Joshua, you just said, well, it takes too much energy, so I'm not doing it. This takes too much energy. So I love this. So sorry. I'm just going to actually
believe it or not, Andrew won't believe me. I used to be louder and more aggressive. He may not see it, but like I used to do it and I would just be drained. And I'm just like, there's got to be like a different way to do this. I was like, it's kind of like I don't care approach. It's like, hey, like if you don't want to do this, like I don't care. It doesn't matter.
And it's and it's really interesting.
I get that approach too. Don't get me wrong, right? But like I said, I think aging brings a lot of more intelligence and experience to the table that you have that approach, but so you're such highly focused on income producing activities that's the only activity that you want to give energy to. Non-income producing activities don't get that kind of energy. And usually passion doesn't tie to income producing activities. They tie to non-income producing activities, at least at the onset. Right. So I can see what you're saying. And I was definitely like that, like 7, 8, 10 years ago, for sure. But now I'm a bit more comfortable financially where I can kind of let loose in other areas and not worry about it and find that. And also I take a lot of supplements, it says on Instagram, Kinga, you're in neuro, right? So I take like I take like 12 vitamins a day. So I don't know if it's a placebo effect, like it just makes me more energetic, but I take like magnesium L-threonate. I take a handful of things that supposedly, and I actually think they do, and I haven't tested it, that help trigger my memory to be better because I felt like I was losing it for a bit, my longer term memory, and I didn't care. I saw that as an asset because I wanted to live in the moment so much that I gave up my longer term memory. And it's still, you know, as you get older, like it still diminishes, right? I feel like, at least for me, it still diminishes. I can't remember. I have to see photos to trigger memories, right? So I took these magnesium L-threonate and a handful of other things. I'm like, oh my God, it's reconnecting again. And I can remember back easier rather than just saying, okay, I can't remember that far. I don't care. And just kind of doing my actual activity. And I see everything as a positive. So I was saying, okay, I can't remember. It doesn't matter because it's not connected to, honestly, probably making money, to be honest with you, which is the American way.
It's really, you know, it's interesting what you, I mean, no, this conversation is actually very interesting. I'm going to reconnect with you two actually for my
craziness is coming out.
No, but okay. May I just take this to a side, because I think it's so interesting, because what Joshua did is basically what I am teaching people to get to, right? Is to understand so emotions are energy. Emotion means energy in motion, you know, emoto from Latin. So basically, you know, just something is just moving within you. So emotions per se are not negative or positive. We make them positive or negative by labeling them. Without labeling them, what Joshua is doing, that's what I'm assuming, is he's not labeling it.
Right.
He's not saying this is good or bad. And when you're not labeling it, it just moves, but it does not interfere with you or how you perceive something, because you understand still what your greater goal is. So let's bring that back, you know, to actually making money, building wealth, investing. I worked for a merger and acquisition bank for quite some time. and yeah, it was really interesting because, I mean, we were two women, right? Rest was just men. And, you know, you get to kind of like observe how everything is going and how, you know, who and how everyone reacts to stress in specific scenarios. Now, in merger and acquisition, we're talking big numbers, right? We're also talking 100, 120 hour work weeks. I mean, we would basically live in the office from Monday till Sunday. And the one interesting thing, and that's when I started studying actually emotions, was because people were saying women are more emotional and men have their emotions better under control. But I didn't see it. Like, what I saw was a lot of people going completely berserk if something didn't go the way they wanted it, right? Because of all the pressure and stress and all of that. And I mean, I'm still really close friends with a lot of my former colleagues, and I wouldn't miss out. I love that time, that high intensity time. But when it comes to investing, when it comes to money, you have to partially also not detach yourself, but you have to stop labeling what you are feeling. Because if you continue labeling everything as bad and good, you're not going to be making decisions that help you to achieve your goals. You're going to be making decisions that will make you feel good. That are two different things. Does that make sense? Andrew is like nodding.
Yeah,
it's like hey, I'm going to eat this chocolate chip cookie because I'm depressed and it's going to make me feel good as I'm eating it. Then I don't go to the gym and I lay in bed and then I feel like shit.
Yeah. So it's, you know, so it's about the small steps. It's before, but then at the same time, Andrew, what you said is also to the point, right? I mean, you said one thing. You said that passion in the beginning doesn't necessarily lead to making money, which underlines my point, right? Don't make your decisions based on the labels that you're giving your emotions. Because if you would be labeling everything as good, that means that it's aligned with your passion, which, look, also in that regard, we have to remember that a lot of people have made a lot of money by just focusing on their passion. Yeah, and that still happens. It happens everywhere. But these people are usually very strategic, very structured, you know, they understand their path. So with emotions, what we need to understand is we do need them. And I see it right now, you know, like, I mean, kind of the pandemic now has come to an end somehow. I don't feel that it is ended, but somehow news media and everyone declared, you know, an end to it. Just so weird. And of course, we have now a new global crisis right away, standing there. And I talk to people and I see that for a lot of people, it's really difficult to actually get up and get going again and do the things that they want to do. And more so, building wealth has become, I think, even scarier, depending on who you talk to and depending what stories they, of course, have as well. Now, and in that regard, Andrew said one thing. What I do recommend quite often to some of these people is to go out and scream. Go out and scream and yell. Because what it does, it gets the emotions moving again. What we've done in the past 2 years is like we've all like leveled out everything, right? I mean, there was just like one bad news after the other. At some point, we just can't take it, right? We have been desensitized. We need to just function. So we leveled out all of our emotions, but leveling out emotions means that you are not feeling the good or the bad. And emotions go in a circular movement. They belong together.
I wouldn't just tie it into like COVID, because I think COVID's super lame anyways, because I have no fear. That's why I think it's lame, right? But I think that the tech revolution has turned people into robots, right? So they like, I'm a robot. There's no emotions. It's either right or wrong, right? Yeah. Or it's just, discipline usually wins, right? Mm-hmm. So there's just, all these people in the tech industry, you have to do this, 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 you have to do this. And then when they step out of that desk, it's still going through their mind in that thread where emotions don't really win. They don't win in tech. I guess you could say it does. Look at Steve Jobs. He was so crazy, but I think from actually being like a worker in the tech industry, I don't think emotion pays. Emotions don't pay, I don't think, unless you're the leader.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you're saying that, because I'm working currently with a couple of female tech founders with really big companies, and they usually come up, with the importance of the topic of how do we humanize the tech world again, right? How do we bring in more of the human aspect? And what is the human aspect? I mean, it is emotions, right? The ability to share emotions, to feel, to connect, to thrive together. So that's a interesting point that you added to it, because of course the entire tech evolution also got speed up tremendously, right, in the last 2 years, just because most of us have spent so much time at home. So what do? You do connect, on your computer or on your phone or whatever device you have. So that is another really interesting aspect, and it's so I have to think about that. Sorry, like you
which part?
With the tech, and how do we? But how do we? How do we bring the emotions? How do we bring the emotions in it? But also,
how do you get them? I mean, that's what those like retreats are for with people. Like go on a retreat together. That's what that purpose is for. All right, go back into your crazy like non-emotion tech mode, stuff like that. How do you? It's not really beneficial to have emotions and do technology. It slows you down. I think, because
do you really think that it slows you down, or it just it's the tool that you're working with is constrained in a specific way, right? You're programming. There's not much that you can do. There's not. I mean, yes, you can be of course creative with it, but the outlet.
Well, look at Roger Federer, right? Like he doesn't show emotions, any negative emotions at least, and rarely positive emotions. And look at tennis. I'm a tennis guy. Nick Kyrgios, he's on the court, he's smashing rackets. Well, he's never going to get to the top, most likely not, even though he's got the skills to do it. But he's super a hothead. He talks about quitting all the time, retiring in his 20s, and he's a nut job, right? So he needs Kinga Mnich in his ear. I don't even know. He needs some drugs or something. But he's because that kind of level head proves to even like golf. Josh, what golfer? Are there any hot-headed like Tiger Woods is a robot, right? You watch him, he's got tunnel vision. He's showing no emotion out there on the course usually.
But
So
he's focused, I think that there's a difference between being
yeah.
focused and not showing any emotions. It's like,
Right.
I don't know. So I'm a big Formula One
It's like
fan.
it's being in the zone.
In the
It's being
zone,
in the
yeah.
zone.
Flow state.
Yeah.
You could argue flow state here. You're searching.
However, the tech that we were talking about, I did have an idea about the technology, how to bring people together, because technology and the internet does allow people to connect. However, those people do need to meet in real life, which obviously the metaverse, it will be a great way if you're a 13-year-old artist and you have no money, but you maybe throw on your VR goggles and you go into the metaverse and you meet other 13-year-old artists because
I think that's backwards. I think that's going backwards, man. I think that's making it even worse.
No, let me finish. So you meet other artists in the metaverse and then you can connect with them outside, like in the real world.
They do that with video games. Like I've been playing Call of Duty with my homie for 5 years and I'm going to go fly and meet him because I got $12 in the bank, right? Like, oh, it's on TikTok now. Oh, it's so cute. Like, I mean, I get it. I think more tech is not good for humanizing. Like metaverse, like is like, all right, it's humanizing, but it's like more sucked in. I don't know. I don't know where the
difference between metaverse and the chat room.
What's the difference?
Other than like one is like virtual reality and one is just using words.
I think it's addiction. It comes down to addiction, right? So I think metaverse, it has the potential for a high addiction, right? So the internet, TikTok is high addiction. You give a kid a phone, they'll stay on it for hours, right? So you got to take them off of it so they do activities, so they are in reality. I don't know. Hey, Kinga, what are some like supplements or some, are you a doctor? What is that? How does that connect?
Andrew's looking for free advice, doctor.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know. I see that. I you know what? Like when he was talking about the supplements that he's taking, and I'm like, let me take you off those, and let me give you different ones.
Oh, you don't like mine?
No, they're fine. But I think that there are some supplements that you would be, it would be really. There's actually a person that you need to have on your show. She is specializing in microdosing. Andrew, you would find that very interesting.
What's her name?
No, but. Brahmi. It's an Ayurvedic herb. I can send you the link. You have to take it as a pulver. You buy it. You mix it in hot water with a spoon of honey. Do not buy the pills. Okay. A lot of people are taking Ayurvedic herbs. If you know what the term is, like ashwagandha. Have you heard of ashwagandha?
Yeah, I take that.
Okay, so if you're taking ashwagandha as a pill, it does nothing to you. Because
why not?
the enzymes that you need in order to be able to break
what about as a gummy? What about as a gummy?
Yeah, you could take it as a gummy. You could take it as a gummy.
Okay.
Are you taking it as a gummy?
I do both just in case one doesn't work.
Sorry.
Your liver is probably like, what the heck is
I need to start
on?
testing these things eventually, all right? But it's like...
Andrew, happy to jump with you on a call and go through all your herbs. So, and all your supplements. But yes, so with Ayurvedic, I want to put that actually on the show so people actually understand. In order to get the benefit of any kind of Ayurvedic herb, so any herb that falls under Ayurveda, you need to take it not as a pill. You need to take it in a raw substance that it goes through your mouth because it activates the enzymes that you need in order to get the benefit out of the herb. Those enzymes, in order to break down, for example, ashwagandha, they're being activated in your mouth, not in your gut. So if it just ends up in your stomach or in your gut, the body is just going to flush it out, right? Because it doesn't have what it takes. So there's one. You're going to like it. It's Brahmi. Brahmi builds gray matter in the brain, and it helps you to speed up the processes within your brain and interconnect your neurological pathways. And it's super effective. In a lot of cases, you need to take it for a minimum of 3 weeks in order to see the benefit of it.
What is this? Brahmi?
Brahmi. Yeah, so it's BHRAMI.
Okay. And what do you know about magnesium L-threonate? What do you know about that? Have you heard of it?
Yeah. I mean, are you taking it in the evening?
I take 2 in the morning, 2 at night. I read an MIT study said that if you take 1,500 milligrams a day for 6 weeks, it sets your brain back 10 years, neuron-wise.
Interesting. I wanna see that study.
I don't know if it was a placebo, but I definitely noticed my memory was improved.
I mean, I want to hear from Joshua actually in that regard. Josh
doesn't take this stuff. He's 31. He doesn't need this kind of stuff.
What about brushing with your left hand instead of like your right hand?
Yeah, I mean that's good because you're activating different motor neurons. But Andrew, how old are you?
41.
Oh, you're 41. Oh, okay.
I know. I look 29.
Oh, you're older than me. Nice. That's good. And, I want to hear from Joshua. What is it that you do in order to stay calm?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Josh just wakes up calm.
There are times where, like, of course, do I want to punch Andrew in the face? Yeah, probably a few times a day. However, I say in my brains, like, if I actually punched him in the face or reacted like some people do, like some people have like a short fuse, like you'll be in the grocery store and you'll like bump into someone and they'll like freak out on you or something. And it's just like they have no control over their emotions versus like if someone like says something I don't like, I kind of process it. I'm just like, okay, I don't like where this conversation's going, but it's pretty much just a choice. Like you got to choose to like not react, and then you train yourself not to do it. Just like in sports, or if you get a bad grade on a test, like a high school student may think it's the end of the world, but it's just like one test. Like you can do better next time. Or if you fail a class in college, you can take the class again.
But it sounds like almost you're observing. You have taught yourself to become an observer instead of a reactor.
Sure, if that's what you want to call it.
Yes.
I mean,
yes, he is.
Well,
he needs to study OODA loop, right? So we had Steve Sims on last week. Brilliant guy. Look into him or listen to our pod, right? And he brought up OODA loop, and I need to study that a little bit more. It's like observe, orient, and then decide, make a decision, and then act. Josh decides not to act a lot. He just sits.
Andrew doesn't like that I don't do things immediately.
Now you're an analyzer. I see that right away.
See, we're talking about personalities. We're getting into personalities, like this profile and stuff like that.
It's not that I'm not going to do it. If I'm in the middle of something, I want to finish that before I move on.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
If I do one thing, I don't want to have to go back and do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
you have to do the question on the test, and then I move on to the next question. I'm not going back.
Sure. And it will take you too much energy to kind of like bring your mindset, and reset your mindset again back into that topic, right? And that's the reason why if you're moving on and you have to go back to something, you would be wasting energy.
Yeah, it's hard for me to go do something, then change, do something else, then go back. I feel like that's just more work.
That's called remember that was Pomodoro. That's Pomodoro effect.
No,
the Pomodoro.
25 minutes.
That's just 25 on and like taking a break and then going back to work.
Yeah. So you do 20, so you do 20 minutes, 5 minutes break, 20 minutes, 5 minute break, 20 minutes, 5 minute break, 20 minutes, and then you do a 15-minute break. And for a lot of people that are like hyperactive and
Yeah, so he's talking about flow state, right? So if you're in the zone, you don't want to be. So it comes back to distractions, right? Yeah. What you talked about. But the only thing is I think my distractions are better than whatever he's doing.
Why do you think that?
see how he reacts? He's so calm.
So yesterday, here's a dynamic. Andrew and I are business partners. I've been married longer than him than I have Roxanne. That's now my wife.
I want to hear from Kinga more. We're talking too much.
Yeah.
No, all good.
She's
It's
studying us right now. She's studying us right now. She's
I
like,
know.
I'm going to offer you a couple session.
Right now. We'll do it right now. Let's live in the moment. Kinga, it's a doctor, Kinga Mnich, right? Doctor?
Mm-hmm.
So where does the DR come from? Where how does that
I have my PhD in social psychology, and you're going to laugh now, but I did my PhD on masculinity and emotions in high security prison facilities.
Oh wow.
So
masculinity and emotion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So seeing the two of you interact, and exchange, it just brings me back. That's my expertise, bring it on. Joshua is now smiling. Look, he is. I got him smiling. No,
I'd have to be in a white collar prison.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wanted to kind of understand, so when I was in South Africa, the violence against women is just really, the statistics are really crazy, and I didn't see it. Right? I didn't see it. I'm like, where are all these violent men if everyone is actually super nice here, and helpful? And of course, I was at first a little bit naive with it, but then I thought, I want to study violence. Where can I find it? I can find it in high security prison facilities. So I started teaching yoga in a male high security prison facility, and then continued on doing my research. And then my research changed, because then I realized, the question is not so much of violence. Violence is a result of misunderstood emotions. Right? The people that become, and Joshua was explaining that, people that don't necessarily understand what's going on within them, they react violently. So you, for example, Andrew, if you coach and you're on the field and you scream and you're passionate, right? That's not violence. That is just being really expressive. And people have that differently. And you need that in order to get more, to create more emotions and more energy actually with that. I do that too. When I get really passionate about something, you should see me. When I get passionate about, social injustice or something, it just gets me going.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
a lot of the yelling will come from lack of confidence in the player, right? Because they don't think I can run that fast or I can get that ball, but they can. They just need to get yelled at.
Well, I feel if you can yell at them two ways. Maybe you want them to run. You could say, "Hey, you can do it," or "Run faster." They mean the same thing, but one could be taken negatively and one could be taken positively. Or am I wrong?
I think the message is important, but the tone is also, so they can, if they can't hear you, it's not gonna matter, right?
Yeah, it depends on what state they are, right? If they already push them up and they believe that they are, super important, and this is not working out because it's the fault of everyone else, and it's not in their ability to change the outcome, then you need to kick them out of that state of mind. Right? That's I have to tell you, I don't know, in that regard, really, Formula One. Watch Formula One. I mean, I love Formula One. Always been a big fan, but
is that the racing, race cars?
Yeah, to see the, race car drivers, going into a car that can easily drive 200 miles per hour, and they're racing against each other, and everything is at the stake, and just to kind of see how the teams interact with one another and see who yells and who swears, there's also a direct correlation. If someone has to use swearing in order to describe what's happening to them, they are not going to succeed. It's just because it just brings you in the wrong state of mind. It doesn't allow you to focus and understand and analyze, and I think that's why I've been pondering on hearing what Joshua has to say, because I can see it. He is the person that analyzes, and Andrew, you are the driver in this whole thing, right? You are pushing, you want to get this going, you want to, but you wouldn't be. The funny thing in team, oh my God, I need to send you something. But when you look at very successful teams, you have 4 components, right? You have a driver, you have an analyzer, you have a sympathizer, so someone that ensures that everyone is happy, and then you have a 4th person. I forgot what the 4th person is, but
good. We only need 3. We can hire less people.
No, we need the 4th one. It will come to me. But the interesting thing is, and I think that that's for me right now so fascinating to see also how you're interacting is, and I think that's an important lesson for people that do want to build wealth, is to understand what are you good at and what are you not so good at, and then find that person that will fill in the missing pieces. And I have to say that watching the two of you, I see the dynamic, right? You are like two pieces of a puzzle. The one person is driving, the other one.
Let me tell you something, a little psychology. I can be that way, but I choose not to because he's already that way. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing. Each of us comes with natural strengths.
Misunderstood.
What did you understand? I can be that way too. I can be the over analytical
driver and just be I've been called it. People, we were at an event one time. These people looked at me. They made me do one of those, I don't know, personality tests, and I took it. Yeah. I looked at the results, and they're like, "You're a serial killer,"
because he doesn't show any emotions, right?
What? But he has emotions. They don't know. He has enough emotions.
Well, they're manufactured, right? They're manufactured. He's like, "Oh, I need to be happy here, happy." So,
Joshua, you can punch him, right? I mean,
I'm so fine. Well, I can live with it because I'm also a killer too. So it's
no, but what I mean, of course, we all can jump into specific roles if need to be. But there's one great test, from the VIA Institute. I think it's VIA. It's the Strength Test Finder. If someone wants to Google it, it's free. There is a paid version. The paid version is not expensive, and they just give you really a whole detailed analysis. But the short version is also enough. And each of us comes with 5 natural strengths. Like, you're being born, and there are specific things that come easy to you. Like, I love leading. Right? I love being in a position where I can bring people together, tell people what to do, which direction to go to. There are a lot of people that are not comfortable with it. I'm good at seeing the bigger vision. I understand where we need to go to. I'm good at building a strategy, but I do need someone that can focus on details. Like, I will focus on details for a while, and then I will get bored with it, because I really sincerely don't care if the car is blue, black, or white, right? The car needs to bring me from A to B. Like, who cares how it looks? But someone else cares. And so with that, when we are looking at building wealth, and I don't know your listeners, I'm guessing that a lot of your listeners, I don't know if a lot of them are actually entrepreneurs, or they want to step into entrepreneurship in order to build their wealth like that. I think that a lot of mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs make us believe that they can do it on their own. And I think that that's something that we need to understand, that doing something on your own is just double as hard as if you actually find someone that you can compromise and set a specific structure to work together. And that comes also, I was listening yesterday to a really great podcast. I don't remember the name anymore of it, but it was really interesting to see, because it was also about the topic of wealth building and kind of like finding the right investments. And what they were saying is that they are all in specific groups with specific people, right? And so it's not necessary that they have now found the right investment. It was more so that a good friend of them, or a teammate, or someone, came across something, and they were able to talk about it, enlighten the investment, or talk about the investment from different perspectives, and understanding the downside and the upside of it. If I'm alone talking to myself and bouncing my ideas off myself, I will either say that these ideas are brilliant, or I will say that they are shitty, and there's like nothing in the middle. So you need to have different opinions and different perspectives. And I think when it comes to investing and building wealth, you need to have people that you can have these conversations with. And you need to have people also that can hold you in check, also emotionally, right? Because sometimes we read up on something, and
I mean, you're saying build, get a network, basically.
Get a network. Yeah, get a network that you can build a network. Build a community that you can trust, and then have these conversations with them. And I don't know, like Andrew, I mean, you were also, I mean, yeah, when Bitcoin came out, right? Did you invest into Bitcoin right away when it came out?
No way. Everything in my gut says Bitcoin is crap.
Yeah, but don't you wish you would have invested $10
No, then because I guess so, but also it could have gone completely evaporated, right? At the same time. So it is very odd that there are these 20-year-old billionaires out there investing in something that may never come to something, or it may actually take over the currency. So I have a hedge on it and I have a little bit of money in it, but not enough to make me go broke if it goes to zero, right? Yeah. Still, real estate, I like tangible stuff personally. I like, because stocks, they can just disappear, like blow up houses or offices, and like that's not going away, right? But stocks can just, I'm sure Josh will argue.
There, Andrew.
What's that?
Sounds like you got some fears there of things you can't control. Maybe
for sure, yeah, because I don't have fear. I don't have fear, but I feel like it's more speculative. Right? It's more speculation. But I want to go back where you said comfortable versus grow, right? You said that a while ago.
Let's end on this. Let's wrap it up in the next couple
minutes. Yeah. So how can I focus more on growing than being comfortable? Because I get comfortable, I get stuck in my routines, right? I'm like, all right, I do this, I do that, and I know it's a positive routine, right? So I do it over and over again. But how do I continuously grow? I'm sure you see people get complacent, where they're doing well, and how do I keep growing? Because I mean, growing requires like sometimes risk or doing the wrong thing, right? So how does that?
So it's really interesting.
How can I continue to grow?
Yeah, there are two. I think that there are actually two answers to that. One, we need to understand kind of like, when do we need to build routines? When is it necessary for us to have a routine in order to achieve X, Y, Z, right? A routine is good if you're working on something and the only thing that you need to do is, in order to finish it, to just work consistently on it, right? So routine is good in order to build consistency. Consistency generally achieves specific goals. But to set new goals...
So routine is like comfortable. Routine equals comfort.
Routine equals comfort. That is, yes. No,
I mean, you can mix up your routine. It's like, hey, I go to the gym Mondays at 7:00 every week, but you're not going to do the same workout. You're not going to get comfortable with your workout.
But it's so comfortable. I'm in the gym that I know. It'd be like me going, to a new gym with a personal trainer. That would be different. But if you go to the same gym and just change the routine, that's comfort zone. But
let me explain that to you from the second aspect to it, right? In order to grow, we need to activate a different area in our brain, right? The area of our brain that builds routine, that functions based on routine, is the back of our brain. The area that makes us solve problems and be creative is the front of our brain, right? And the back of our brain is running most of the time, but it needs less energy, right? Joshua likes to spend less energy on things. But you need to be in a state of routine in order to just finish something that you know already that you're working on. But you need to be in a state of creativity if you're coming up with new goals and if you are helping yourself or trying to push yourself out of that comfort zone. So how do we do that? So in order to bring yourself into the state of creativity, you would do what Andrew just said, like going into a new gym with new people. You are forcefully placing yourself into situations that are making you feel uncomfortable. Because when you're feeling uncomfortable, that's when the front of your brain kicks in. And so, for example, it's really interesting. A lot of creative writers do that. When they are writing on a book and need a lot of new ideas, what they will do is they will go to different places and write their book in different coffee places. So stepping away from what they know. So it's not like being at home where you're like, oh my God, now I need to, do the dishes. I need to wash the laundry. I need to answer the phone. It's kind of like, that is routine, right? So our brain will go back and force us to do the things that we are comfortable with. But if we go into different surroundings and surround us also with different people, that's when we become more creative. And we need that in order to step out of our comfort zone. Yeah.
New people, new idea. New people equal new ideas.
New people, new ideas, new surroundings, new ideas. That's
new atmosphere, new environment,
new atmosphere. And that's also why, for some people are super creative when they are on a plane, when they're in a hotel, right? It's like you change the environment around you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I love traveling, because you're always going to a new place. But yeah, I'm going to look up this Brahmi. That's a pill, or is that do I eat that in my mouth?
Powder. You mix a half a teaspoon.
Okay.
You mix a half a teaspoon with warm water and then put a spoon of honey on top of it.
And what does it do?
It builds gray matter in your brain. It literally so it helps your brain to be faster. It helps your brain to remember more. Yeah, to build new brain cells, basically. I mean, there's research just now that came out, I think, of Johns Hopkins. They started using
neurons that wire together, fire together.
Yeah. That's what I read at Magnesium L-threonate does. It reconnects the neurons that when you hit 40, you lose neurons. They're not as connected.
But you just lose them if you're not using them. You don't lose them if you're using them.
I mean, as you get older, don't you lose brain connections?
Yes and no. So it really depends, because people that are very intellectual, read a lot, and expose themselves continuously to new environments, their brains don't shrink.
Maybe I have Alzheimer's or something.
So it's just people that go into routine and just stay in routine and just want to stay in their own environments. And you see that with older people, right? The way they are decaying. And you see that just generally with people that are doing every day the same. I mean, I have a really great friend of mine, very close friend of mine. She's 70. I mean, she is just so sharp, but she does things like flying, to Ghana and staying in a tribe, for 10 days and washing herself out of a bucket at that age. I had one of my grand aunts, she's 92. She was Esperanto member. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Esperanto Club. Look it up at some point. I'm not going to go into it right now, but really interesting. I mean, she was 88 when she went to Peru, and she was sleeping in a hut, it's like for 4 weeks.
Travel.
So it's the new experiences. It's the getting out of your comfort, right? I mean, my couch downstairs in my house is like super comfortable. Do I want to sit in it all day long? Yes, of course. But that's not possible. Yeah.
All right. We got it. We got to wrap. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much, Kinga.
Sure. Yeah.
Find Kinga Mnich. Mnich.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the title. Find her on Instagram. Follow her. Check her out. All right. Thanks a lot, Kinga.
A couple session, Dr. Kinga.
Yeah, we'll follow up for a couple session.
Andrew, Joshua, by the way, I'm doing I started a magazine. Are you recording? Did you stop recording?
No, we're still recording.
You're still recording?